Hey! We're going to work on some more Spelljammer stuff today. Give me a second here to check my signal. I'm going to put in a couple hours of here booking this stuff out. Hold on real quick. Wait for my thing to show up. Okay, cool. So I'm going to... Okay, cool. So I'm going... There you go. Okay, great. I sound great. So great. If you check down in the description below, there is the link to my Twitter where I just posted that I have gone live. There's also like and subscribe so that you can have YouTube and your phone or whatever shout at you that I'm going live. Above and beyond that, there's a DMsGuild link there that'll take you to a number of the books that I've produced so far, so you'll get an idea of how my world works in general when I design these things, so you can see what our end goal is going to look like. All those books are 100% preview. You can read them cover to cover. You can run an entire D20 campaign, or like level campaign from level 1 to 20 if you wanted over the next year, and check out how it goes, and if you like it, decide to buy the books. But I just want to make sure that you can see them, that you like them. You have the opportunity to interact with this stuff. 5-color mana is something that Wizards is probably not going to pursue. They may break down spells into color lists, but they're pretty against spell points in general, so we're not likely to see Wizards flip over to any kind of true mana system at all. So I'm really happy I was able to develop that, and it just keeps getting better. I've got more content coming out for next year to integrate Strixhaven and Theros, which came out after I published the book. We're also looking, we're probably going to, I suspect we're going to have maybe a Dominaria something in December as well as a setting. I don't know if that's going to be true. That's what my hopeful hunch is. We'll see if it, I'm rarely right. I was right about Roll20 being purchased by Roll20, by DMsGuild OBS, but beyond that, I don't think I've ever gotten a prediction right. So I don't anticipate getting many more of them. But in case Wizards does drop another NTG setting before the end of the year, it'll fold right into the redesigns that I'm doing. Also got the Spellpoint Warlock, Spellpoint Artificer coming out, which will look a lot like the Knights and Tricksters book and the Spellpoint Warlock book. Also rebuilding and taking some of the 3E design cues for the Sorcerer and Meta Magic and bringing them into the 5-color mana Spellpoint variant rules, and providing a more flexible feel, more Meta Magic, more Sorcery Point feeling sort of Spellpoint Sorcerer. So that's stuff that's all linked down below. You can see how that stuff comes along, and you're welcome to that. The other link that's there is to my Patreon, that if you click on that link, it'll take you to a forum post that shares this playtest content that we are currently inside of right now. So like if you wanted to jump in and we're live, I'll be able to see you pop up over here checking out. So you can read along with me in this process while we go through it. We are on page 104 out of 110. So what we've decided to do, Ukulele Bard, Adam Hancock, and I, we are going to take the vehicle mechanics. So we've been developing this. This is episode number 30. So I've roughly maybe 70 hours of design time so far into the system for the whole 110 pages that this thing is, which includes a 5-foot minion system that converts all the creatures by CR into just a generic minion sort of squad unit. You've seen a lot of different ideas like that, but on top of that system, what we're able to do is to scale out to the 50-foot, 500-foot, 1 mile, 5 mile, 10 mile, 100 mile, yon, all the way up to 100 million miles. We can build out a scaling grid system that allows us to have the same sort of combat and enemy interaction that you have at the 5-foot scale, but have it at virtually any scale larger than that you're operating on, under the premise that you're operating either larger groups or vehicles, or you're operating, like, say, vehicles that move at a much faster speed than on foot, so you can cross multiple 50-foot or 10,000 miles squares per round as you're flying like dogfight style, fighting in space combat, or like with the Infernal War Machines at the 50-foot scale. Infernal War Machines fit inside 50-foot squares, but they move at speeds of 100 plus. So you can have them sit in the 50-foot space and have them move 2 squares per round per action, and then have rogue economy, so that they've got the object interaction to steer, and then they've got the bonus action to move, or steer as in drive, like move. Steering is moving, so object interaction is move, and then your bonus action, you can either move again, dash, or you could dodge, so that you and everyone on your car is going to it's disadvantaged to attack you and your crew. Or you can disengage, where you'll be able to weave in between different vehicles and not draw opportunity attacks for them for doing so. So you've got that piloting activity, and then you actually get the weapons that are on these vehicles, whether it's an infernal truck, or it's a salt marsh boat, or it's a Spelljammer in space ship. Your vehicle is strewn with weapons, and so like with Infernal Machines, they're mounted harpoon cannons that do like 2d8 damage with ranged attack up to 150 feet. So you can make multiple attacks per round. You just got to feed in ammo and fire, and as long as you can reload, then you can continue firing it. So like if you have crossbow expert or something like that, you can just feed fire into it and just fire off as many, but it's 2d8 to hit on a hit, so it's heavy damage. It's like a light ballista, right? It fills up 1 5-foot square, and you occupy the space with it. It's just a mounted cannon. So however many attacks per round you can crack off is how many of those things you get to fire. But when you scale up to a boat, the way that we should I should flip my screen around so you can see. Here's the playtest document, so you can see that this is the link that's in the Patreon link. Go to the Patreon. Don't have to be a member. Just go there to read the description. It'll say click here for the playtest, and it'll take you to this read-only document. And then you can again drop down to page 104 in the content to see where we're at Spelljammer. But all the content before this is that squad mechanic, and how to upscale squads so that you can control larger groups of people, as well as rules on, instead of commanding squads or armies of soldiers, you can create businesses, guilds, kingdoms, organizations, and lead them instead of an army as part of your downtime activity, and it becomes a lead generation tool. Baron de Rot on Dungeon Masterpiece has a lot of interesting dissertations about geopolitics and how politics and resource management and commerce and all these different societal structural mentalities as philosophies affect a functioning game world economy. And the engine that we're using to express that is Adam Hancock's, our editor, Adam Hancock's Balderon's Guide to Kingdom Building. So using the same industry mechanics that are inside of their industries as resources, we can accumulate resources like we can accumulate squadrons of ships, so that we can do bigger or more tasks than what we alone would be able to do as a downtime activity. We can like run a thieves guild and have it target multiple things, so like keep eyes on enemies by doing reconnaissance, or sabotaging an enemy guild by destroying their warehouse, or robbing their caravan that you could choose to or not be involved in. If you're not involved in it directly as a character, then it basically comes down to the ability check of your organization. Like whatever rank your organization is going to determine what kind of and however much effort you put into it with manpower and resources is going to determine what kind of a bonus you get on the roll. And then kingdoms are built similarly, except that they're structures. So these structures are providing the resources to the community or the community can have those resources used by different guilds, so that they have guilds coming in that are specialized in performing these tasks, and then they can pay back the city taxes for using their resources. So you could go and you can barter agreements to gain to create property in settlements that grow into fortresses or into kingdoms, cities, metropolises, and then you can build different guilds that utilize the structures inside of those cities. So he has this kind of Civ 6, like Sid Meier's Civ, original World of Warcraft sort of resource accumulation, and then you can again accumulate troops to have them attack as squads that your commander can control as a character, or you can just relegate to whatever bonuses your guild or the kingdom would have in commanding those squads to attack. You can resolve that basically as Adam Hancock presents it, where the squad is used as a weapon, that it goes and it makes an attack roll using your kingdom's attack bonus, and it's going to deal the damage of the squad, and then it's just basically playing out like first level fighters with like 300 hit points, like 150 hit points instead of 15 hit points. And we all have swords. We have D8 swords, and there's like 20 of us. So we're in this like 100-foot block of soldiers that are moving against this other block of 100-foot soldiers, and each have like around 150 some odd points of damage each that you can take, and and then you're dealing D8 times 10 damage when you're attacking. So each one of these squads against each other only last like maybe 2 or 3 hits before they're dead. But that's a first level character, basically just scaled up to 100 feet. So, sorry, up to 50 feet. So 5-foot squares, 50-foot squares. Those soldiers to move 30 feet. It doesn't matter at the 50-foot scale, because that's not even a single square. How do you even measure that? Instead, you measure that round in a minute. So in 1 minute, your squad can move across 300 feet of field and still make an attack. And the attacks that, when they get to where they are, they use their action and then they make attacks. And they'd be doing D8 times 10 damage. And if you're moving at that greater distance, and you scale up the duration of the round to whatever is going to match the distance that's being covered by the enemy teams. So if you're looking at infernal war machines that drive about 50 some odd miles per hour, and they're operating at a 50-foot square, basically every time they use an object interaction, a bonus action, or a standard standard action to move 100 feet, that's potentially 300 feet that they move in 6 seconds, which comes down to about 40 miles per hour if all you're doing is driving fast. But of course, if you're dodging and disengaging, you aren't driving as fast because you're weaving around and you're trying to maneuver and stuff. You're not just going flat out, I'm just driving fast, pedal to the metal, straight run. That's getting your 40 miles per hour. Otherwise, you're dropping about 15 miles per hour every time you take a different action. So basically 3 actions, 45 miles per hour. But then you have Spelljammers, which are 50-foot squares per ship. So you've got these ships that sit inside. If you've got this 500-foot square, each of the squares inside of it are 50 feet. Then you've got like a hammerhead ship fits in a 5x1 space, and it's 250 feet long. And it's got multiple catapults on it. So just like the gunner stations on an infernal war machine firing harpoon cannons at you, at the 5-foot scale or driving at the 50-foot scale, we have the Spelljammer ships that are armed with ballista and catapult mangonels and trebuchet perhaps to also engage in battle, but they're using 50 squares per to build their map. Like each 50-foot square, like there's a catapult there's a catapult there, etc. And so when you build that out, they're flying around at the 500 squares. So you have a 500 square map, and you've got your hammerhead ship sitting inside that 500 by 500 foot square, and he's 250 feet of that 500 foot square. So it's kind of like a halfling sitting inside a 5-foot square, but he's still moving those 6 squares. So in the Spelljammers, they move at a speed of 500. So they can, or a speed of 1,000. So each square is 500 feet that this hammerhead ship is sitting inside of. Every square is 500 feet, so they can move 1,000 feet per action. And so they got you got your helmsman, who's plugged into the Spelljammer. He uses his object interaction to steer the ship to make that movement, and then he has rogue action economy. So he's got his bonus action where he can dash, he can disengage, or he can dodge. And then he has a standard action where he can dash, he can disengage, he can dodge. And of course, you could also instead ram. You could use a standard action or your bonus action to use a ram, or like grappling claws, or like tentacles on a squid ship, to grapple and or ram pierce an enemy ship if you get within melee range. So you'd be at the 500-foot scale, but your ships are only measured in 50. I'll show you. This is easier to demonstrate than to explain. So let's go over here and here. We'll get back to all this stuff. We're building stuff today, so I'm just walking through the process real quick. There we go. Okay, so this is real life. That. All right. So, case in point. Okay, so this is your Star Moth floor plan mostly. Yeah, here's your Star Moth floor plan, right? It's a bit over 100. It's like 180 feet. So these are 5-foot squares, and if this is your character running around inside the deck, you got on 6 seconds, you got your 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. There you are, you're here, then maybe you'll go into this room and fight these guys, or have coffee, or whatever it is that you do. But then at the 50, so this is a 5-foot square, and this is a 50-foot square. So this Star Moth rounds up to 1, 2, 3. It rounds up to 4. Rounds up to 4 50-foot squares that it fits inside of, right? So that's 200 feet by 50 feet. It's actually 180 by 1, 2, 3. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's actually 200 by 25. But that fits inside of 4 by 1. So this is a 4 by this at this 50-foot. Get rid of this. How do I get rid of that? There we go. Here. So you can see at this 50-foot scale over here, you can have the Star Moth sit inside the space, and you can also have, say, another one in the space as well, and transform, it could come along and boop into you, right? Try to scuttle your gravity or just ram you. But this is the size of a hammerhead ship. It's 250 feet by 30 feet, so it fits in this side. But both of these ships can sit inside of this 10 by 10 block, which are each 50-foot squares. So this is a 500-foot square. So then we can again scale out. So here we have a Star Moth, and this is the 500-foot square that the Star Moth is sitting inside of. It's just being represented as a single one. We know that we can have a hammerhead ship in that same square with you, but if not, then it could be in this. It's like this one is this one in this 500-foot square, where this is 50 foot per square. This represents this, which is 500 feet sitting inside of this 1 mile square. So, and then you can the ships move at 1,000 feet per action or per movement. So you could go at the 500-foot scale. You could go 1, 2, 2 squares. That's my object interaction. And then 2 more squares. I'm going to close distance more, and I'm going to use the dodge action. So once these guys start firing on us, they'll be at disadvantage to hit anybody on my crew. So I'm going to be doing like duck and tumbles and moving my masts to block and bat away shots and stuff like that. Since I'm controlling the ship, I can control the ship. Meanwhile, this other guy here, it's his turn now, right? So he's within 1, 2. That's ballista range. This is 3 squares is trebuchet range, which starter models don't carry normally, unless you equip it with one specifically. This is mangonel range, 1,000 feet or less. So you can I can move that 1 square as my object interaction. I can then put on dodge, and I could hold my final action until the end of the round, at which point I'll be able to strafe. I can come in, I can fire it, and then I can strafe away. Or I started here, I could go 1, 2, and now I can ram. I can, as a jam pilot, I can use I use my object interaction to move the ship adjacent, and now I can start attempting to ram. So what happens is I use 1 movement to get there. I'm now going to use an opposed piloting check to zoom in, so I can close distance. Which then, like say the hammerhead ship here is what I'm attacking, right? And then this is me coming in off of that zoom. I can pick which direction I'm coming in from, because it's kind of virtual time. But this is all happening in 6-second rounds. So whatever action economy your character has, that's how fast these ships are moving, firing, ramming each other, strafing away, and trying to jump to hyperspace. So I'm going to use that 1 action to become adjacent here. I'm now going to use another interaction to close distance. I am now within ramming distance. So I use 2 actions there. If I use my 3rd action, I can get adjacent, but I can't actually use an action to make an attack roll. So I'm out of action economy. If I had multiple attacks, I could maneuver it into position, and I would be able to make multiple attacks with it. But I can't both move and attack as a single action. I could move in as my standard action, or I could use my standard action to attack, and if I'm like a 10th level ranger or whatever, then I get 2 or like 5 or maybe 3 attacks. I can go bat bat bat, like Pokemon style, just bat that ship. Or like if I'm using tentacles or like like grappling claws, I can latch onto the ship, and then we're holding this position here until their pilot is able to beat my piloting check. And I can have crewmen aid me, or like they can either just use their action to, you can do it, cheerlead me, and then I gain advantage. Like they can use a normal help economy like that because we're on the ship together, we can hear each other. So there's no problem there. And then so that's how you can hit that. And then if say you want to board this ship, that's when again you can you're already adjacent. So like this ship is like this ship is basically here, right? It's just scaled up a lot like this. So like this ship is basically here, and you just ram the thing. So I'm in position here. If my crew wants to jump off the ship and start raiding, then I can just which deck would probably be like this deck. So I jump on deck here, and now I'm operating at the 5-foot scale. So like this guy is like roughly here, so I need to climb up on the outside of this, so I can climb up on top of this, and I can crawl around the ship and whatever, and start attacking people, get inside, start running around here and fighting people at the 5-foot scale. Meanwhile, out here at the 50-foot scale, my pilot is continuing to maintain the grapple, maybe trying to succeed at an opposed pilot check to turn it and flip its gravity plane, so that ship gets scuttled. So like, warn your team if you're going to do that first, please. But at the same time, and then if there's like other ships that you're fighting, it's great that you know, you're engaging. It's great that you're engaging this guy here, but this guy could have an ally. So, like, there could be 2 hammerhead ships that are floating around. So you're here and you're tied up with this guy here, and this guy's coming around and he's flanking at you, and he's going to try to get to you. So you've got other guns on this ship. You have at least 2 of them, but you've got a boarding crew going on here. So you got your front gun, you got your back gun. You can still use both of those at the 500-foot scale and attack this thing once it gets within 100 feet. You can hold your action to make a reaction, and there you go. So that's the gist of it. Like, that's how the mechanics work in a nutshell. There's like the astral chart and all that stuff. So we're going to get into that. Right now, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we have good content for the upcoming playtest using this this weekend. So we've got a Roll20 board set up here that we can start dropping stuff in. So we're going to go to the document here, and actually I think I could probably use Photoshop. So we're just going to grind for a while here. That's what we're doing. We're grinding out XP to gain levels in third-party content design. So I'm working my way up the ranks. So let's see. I'm going to go. Ask me anything. You know, if you're in chat or whatever. Say hey, what up, whatever. It's just I'm just doing the work. So this is me doing the work. Right now, so this is the city. I'm working backwards forward. The last stream, if you caught the last stream, you know from that stream that I had been working on converting the chapter 10 encounter of Light of Xaryxis to be able to use Spelljammer with in the playtesting, and then as we started working on that process, it became pretty apparent very quickly. It's like, oh, wait a second, we don't have to do 110 pages worth of book to have these Spelljammer rules available. We probably only need like maybe 15, maybe even 10. So we were able to just dummy that down a lot and get it into a position where we're gonna be good to go. So hold on real quick. Just twisting that a bit. Now I'm going to go bloop, bloop as a calibrator, and new. I'm just stealing these things for now for the playtest, but when actually I'll you can for example, when we put the grid back on, you can see that this Temple of Light only needs to occupy one 500-foot space, but it's sitting in the middle. I mean, it's symmetrical, so they did that way on purpose. But we can rebuild this thing so it has all these all these points. And if you have a squadron of ships that are filling this 500-foot square, you could carpet bomb this naval base here. You can carpet bomb. This is the Imperial Docks military quarter. You could carpet bomb the military quarter here by going across with a squadron of gift bombardiers. They could rain down 2d8 times 10 damage per shot, and if you've got 10 of them clustered into a squadron, that's 2d8 times 100 damage per shot. And these buildings have 500 hit points per 50-foot square, or 5,000 hit points per 500-foot square at most. Anywhere from 1,000 to 5,000 hit points per square here, depending on how sturdy the structure is. And so 5,000 if they come through doing 2d8 times 100 points of damage a pop, that's up to potentially 1,600 damage. So I mean, it only takes 1 or 2 strafes, and they can knock out an entire like a literal block out of like they could decimate this entire city, in a matter of maybe like an hour at most. They can just completely carpet bomb it if they have enough ammunition. Whew, man! But this system, but you see that it's like you got 10 ships that are just carpet bombing this place, and the amount of damage this place can take is roughly equivalent to the amount of damage that a 500 square worth of ship can take, depending on the rank of the fortification and the pilot. So we're going to get into those mechanics. They're already written out in the playtest document that we provided. The mechanics are there, but maybe not necessarily the great language that we're going to need to get this thing built. So I'm hammering out the text as monkey-brained as I can. And then we got Ukulele coming through and making the welding it all together with smart language. And then Adam Hancock comes through on the backside and makes sure that it edits through, proofreads good, logic flows. Once that passes back through from Adam to Ukulele to me, I start doing the layouts here on stream, and then any space that's left over in the corners or middle of the page, I make an illustration, and I do that here. So I'm anticipating this maybe being like a 15-page document with a cover. Probably means I'm going to need like 4 illustrations. So I'm going to end up doing some spaceships, as well as like, you know, a jammy cover. But yeah, I mean, this doesn't need, because of the scale that we're working at, we don't need to worry about we don't need to worry about a lot of the caveat mechanics that go into, I've got 15 guys walking through a dungeon with me, and then 3 of them fell into a pit trap. How do I resolve that with those guys dying and I'm still having no, this is just like, it's a giant vessel, and it's just got a wall of hit points and a bunch of weapons that can just tear it apart. So it all stays in that second, third level action economy, fast pace. That combat was dangerous, but it's over now. Thank God. What's the next terror that we get to endure? That's how these systems. That's how this game plays. So that's what our playtests are showing. That you can just drill through. If everyone's operating at the same scale, you can just hammer through stuff, just like, you know, like goblins in a dungeon. So it feels like 5e, even though it's Spelljammer. So and then we can go back through and look at upsizing, like the upsize of creatures and stuff, because some of them are upsized. But there's only 4 encounters in the light of Xaryxis, so that's what we're working on right now. Anyway, getting back to La Punto. So stick around. Hey, what's going on? What do you guys got up? I'm really excited about 1D&D. I don't know about that name, but hey, I'm not their marketing genius. They pay people good money to do that stuff, so I'm going to presume that they know what they're doing. I'm just going to sit here and just improve their mechanics as they come out. Let's see. What is the scale of this image? Image size. We'll go through mechanics here as soon as I get this thing dropped into the document, so that we can keep an eye on it. Noise. All right, so we're going to OK with that, and we're going to save as equals desktop. Let's go to In Command, and let's go to Vehicles, New. I got Keith. If you check my streams from earlier from this year, I had a giant gap where my chompers are now. I got my teeth knocked out. So I got no argument with the wrong kind of guy. But hey, I got new teeth out of it. So who's the real winner? That's horrible. We're gonna call this. Let's get into here. We'll go with Xaryxis Citadel. Hey, spoiler alerts! I know I got some playtesters that kick around with me. So watch out if you know. Who cares? We're not doing anything about the plot. It's just a battle. So we'll play that out. There, gotta hide my face here for a minute. All right. This is roll 20 if you don't know it. I'm using the flywheel to scroll in and out. And I go to, this is the object interaction where the characters dwell. This is the map layer where I can engage with this item. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's more like that. Yeah, pretty much like exactly like that. See, that guy snaps right into place. Cool, so we got the moth, and we can take that, put it here. Let's go. Why is it so warm in here? I must be drunk. Stay in school, kids. Yeah, this robe is overwhelming me. It wasn't this hot yesterday, I don't think. Yep, that works. And then image. Proceed. Down. File. File. Save as. Here. 30 grid. I know there's a grid in here already, but I wanted the 10 crossed grid is really valuable using the In Command system because it makes it really easy for you to be able to scale in and out. Y'all will see that here in a minute. As soon as it loads, let's go to our looks like it's still doing what it's doing. Let's assume that. Let's just hope for the best. All right. So let's see. What are the encounters that exist inside of Light of Xaryxis? It begins with your characters aboard a galleon fighting a star moth, and then it goes to you being aboard that star moth fighting a night spider, and then 2 galleys show up. Maybe they're galleons show up. Maybe they're friends. Maybe they're not. Once you get through that fight, you end up aboard a living ship, and then you are attacked by an aesthetic jellyfish. If you survive that, then you could be either aboard a living ship or a ghost ship galleon. And then you dive into Doom Space, so we'll create the Doom Space map here. And then we've got the Vocath base in Doom Space, where we go for the great meeting of the squadron commanders that are running the different squads of ships here that your characters will ultimately take over. And then however many of these squads are able to pick up, you then go to, you can either collect it all into a single squadron within a mile with 30 ships in that mile, or you can scan out to the 50-foot scale and have anywhere from 10 ships in 3 squares, or all the way, like if you have 5 players, then you could have 6 ships per 500-foot square, but each character can command their own squadron. And then down at the then you zoom into the 50-foot scale, and you can see the ships that are in your squad. So if you get into a nose cross with I guess jousting. I guess if you start jousting with your ships, the 50-foot scale is good to be able to cross through each other, but then you can scale down again to the 5-foot scale and jump onto a ship and like take it over, for instance. Like if your ship goes down, you could try to take over another one. However that goes. And then there's, on top of it, there are 7 young dragon riders and large-sized dragons that with the 7 of them together, they can squadron into a 50-foot square, and then that 50-foot square can become part of another squadron, but is more of a threat at the 50-foot scale to attack individual boats than it is to have them attacking as like a cloud of dragons attacking just a giant ship. It scales differently. So there's still significant threats because their breath weapons are essentially siege weapons unto themselves. So we'll take an opportunity to build out that squad here too, and then we'll build out the light mechanics that go into this. So well that's and then you got and then against you is the 30 star moths that you could then organize to best engage your team. Most likely it's going to be like 6 squads of 5 each. So we'll be able to see how hit point capacity and squadrons scale as you go up in larger and smaller sizes, and depending on how many ships you feed into the command zone that these squadrons are sitting inside of. So, but that's the bare essentials of it. So hopefully my map is uploaded at this point. Well, mother of a Hubbard, what is your dealie? No. Let's try that again. There it is. I was just, I guess, impatient the first time. Eva. All I gotta do is make this big enough so that the citadel sits inside of it. So that should line up. And it feels like it kind of lining up. So we're going to put this here. Now we'll put it over here. This is the 500-foot scale. And so that tells you that this moth fits within a mile. And you can see down here that this is true because the scale they provided is 1 square is 500 feet. See, it's like they built all the tools, but they didn't know that they built them. They didn't know how to. Anyway, it's great that it works out this easily. I'm really thrilled about that. It tickles me pink to no end. Thrilling, in fact. I am beyond thrilled. There's no reason to criticize. But then at the same time, I can take this, I can get the hair. Yeah, that was a fool's errand. Let's just make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's drawing. Is there a way for me to change this grid? Interesting. Let's see. Is there anything? Nope. 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 Go black. Oh, that's much easier. I do like that. Fitting for space A, so let's do that. Let's be in space, shall we? Let's go to object interaction map. We'll go to here. Can't use that tool. Here. Okay. You can build a cool little map, like a little map frame, since like these are like you got that orrery that it comes with, where like when you go into a system, it automatically populates it as a heads-up display, all the different bodies that are inside the crystal sphere large enough to generate their own spherical gravity field. This does that as well. That's kind of the idea that we're going with here, is that you can look on a heads-up display as an orrery for you to be able to see where different ships are that you're tracking in combat, so you can see what their actual movements are. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's weird. One, two, 3, 4, 5. Cool. There we go. Chimp chop chiricharu charum. Charu charum. That's good. There, you get your little grid display. You got your 1 mile scale and your 500-foot scale, and you got your 50-foot scale and your probably another 500-foot scale. Actually, all the 500-foot scale stuff should be able to resolve inside here. We definitely need breakaways, though. It's weird. Whatever. Well, they won't be able to interact with it. Zoom in on that. Okay. Okay, so here at this scale, if you, I don't think I need to have. Oh, we can go back to here. I can grab this. I can grab that. I'm gonna put him here, actually. Whew. There. Okay, cool. So now we can have this butterfly here. And we go back to object interaction here. Don't want to be too up in this space. I want to be over here. Yeah. Now let's go fetch some bits. Let's see. What do we got on tap? Let's see. Solar Dragon. Sure, you know, photo pending. What else? Thank you. Go to save, vehicles, Spelljammer, Solar Dragon. Book creation, tap not burn, in command, vehicles, Spelljammer. Ba-ba-ba-da-boo. One, two, three, four, five, six. Okay, at the 5-foot scale, there you go. Hold on, let me grab some. I don't know, Star Elf. Let's see what kind of bullshit pulls out for me. Wait, is there an Astral Elf pilot? Commander. Cool. Whew, CR7. That is some advanced stuff, buddy. We're not gonna go with that. So we'll go with Astral Elf Warrior. Cause that guy looks pretty pimp. Let's see. So 60 HP. Okay. actually. And what about that young dragon? How much you packing there, son? Was it a adult red dragon? What was it supposed to be? Let's go back to the aftermath. Here there be dragons. Let's go. 7 solar dragons. Young solar dragons. 178 hit points. How much damage do these dudes deal? Ninth level, so 3rd rank. Bite. Multi-attack is a bite and 1 tail attack. $2d6, huh? Why are you guys even in the fight? Breath weapon. 8d10 damage. So that's d8 times 10 damage. And when you're upscaling to 50-foot squares, it's a die times the multiplier. So here we're seeing 8d10, which is up to 80, so it's d8 times 10. And that way you can scale it to d8 times 100, d8 times 1,000, 10,000 as you keep scaling up and more dragons. Dragons! So let's see, 20-foot sphere. 120 feet. Okay. So let's get this guy on the board. Let's see. It's third rank. It's let's go Solar Dragon CR9 third rank. The +9, so we'll leave it. AC is 13, 16, 19. We'll leave it weak. 150 foot range on the breath weapon, does D8 times 10 damage. 1 times 50 foot square, 20 foot AoE. Save at advantage. Recharges on a 5, it uses a D8 because it's third rank. It's D4 for first rank, D6 for second rank, D8 for third rank. I'm saying a lot because I'm trying to think of what else do I need. Recharge. Yeah, that feels right. And since that AoE isn't filling the square, if you're operating at the 50-foot scale, then you're going to make your save at advantage. If the dragon is inside a 50-foot square with you at the 5-foot scale, then it can hit you specifically, and then your character is going to use their normal character features to save Vorse damage. Let's see. Get out of here, you scallywag. We got 10-foot reach. Two D6, 1d6. That's 46. 20, that's 30 damage. Plus another 10 damage. That's care of that. Alright, let's go look at Star Moths. I already have a Star Moth, so let's see. What do I want to do? Go back to here. Xaryxis battle. Storm off. Teva. Start knocking these things out. Let's see. Peekaboo. That's a pretty good match. So awkward. I drew that. Yeah, it looks like it's working out. Right, gravity plane. There's dudes there. So like that. Leave it like that for now. That's a 5. And that is the 500-foot scale. This is a 50-foot scale, so that's 200 feet by 50 feet that this sits inside of. Here at the 500-foot scale, this square here is this square right here. So I can fit in, let's see, this isn't even taking 3 dimensions into account. I can easily fit 10 of these things inside of a 500-foot square. 200 feet long, that's 10 of them. So you got a squadron of 10 each. There you go. There's 3 on the board there. And we got the mini map there. So let's see. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. I think what we want to do is actually break them up into squads of 5, 6 squads of 5 each. I think that makes probably the most sense. Whatever, it's something like that. Maybe it's more, yeah, maybe it's more like that. Anyway, you got 5 of these guys in a squad of one of these. So this is a 500-foot square. These are 50-foot squares. Again, here is this large-sized dragon. It sits as large over here, but on a map like this, it's only 10 feet by 10 feet. But if it's a pixie, like a pixie takes up, where am I at? Okay. A pixie is 2 feet, but eats a whole 5-foot square on the 5-foot map, because how else are you going to more finely. There's no more fine grain than 5 feet in D&D unless you create it like we could. Like instead of being 5 feet, it could be half a foot. You know. Anyway, and then 0.5 feet, and then that's like a centimeter. So then a millimeter, and then I don't know, a deciliter. A decimeter. I don't know what comes after that. Leave me alone. But okay, so 50 foot square, 500 foot square. I just like making noise. So this is the 1 mile scale. This is the 500 foot scale. I expect the majority of the battle to be performed at the 500 foot scale, but I want to have this 50 foot scale and then 5 foot scale. So 1 mile is 5,000 feet, 500 feet, 50 feet. Also, ah, 50 feet, 5 feet, so 5 feet, 50 feet, 500 feet, that's here too. So probably the majority of this battle is going to be at the 500 foot scale. So I should probably mark that somehow, perhaps. 5, 50, 500, 5,000. 5,000 feet a mile. Let's see. Okay, so let's translate this term off. Scroll up a bit into the content. Okay. So the size of the ship is the rank of the ship. The size determines how much space it takes up on a 50-foot scale, and then that space determines what rank it is, and then the rank. Let's see, so the size of the ship determines how many spaces it occupies. The rank of the pilot determines how many hit points there are per square. A more skilled, a higher ranked pilot is going to be able to take more hits on their ship by ducking, weaving, dodging, and deflecting hits that are coming in. As an act of defense. Also, so the default armor class, hit points per 50-foot scale, and the maximum size vehicle that can be piloted. If you have the piloting tool proficiency. You know what? Honestly, Spelljammer itself can probably just being a Spelljammer pilot itself can probably just resolve that. It's a combat system. I like the idea of being able to resolve all Spelljammer problems with this, but it's primarily a combat upgrade. It's a combat supplement. Is the word I'm trying to say. So we don't necessarily need to have max ranks. Flask. Okay, so it's the size of your ship, and then multiply that by, I can probably do this backwards, like this. See, pilot, ship size and space, materials, let's see, ship, material, a ship is made from impacts the ship's durability and maneuverability. Period. Ship, material, tactical speed, AC, DT. What's the damage special on these things? Let's see. We're just gonna stick to the stuff in the book this time around. Let's go back. Let's see. Bombard. Check. Damsel fly, check. Flying fish, check. Hammerhead, check. And pray all day. Linchep, Nobaloid. Scorpion sheep. Space galleon. Squiddy. Star moth. Portal. Oh, for realsies? Oh, cool. Okay, well, let's build that out. Turtle, Tyrant ship. Check. And Wasp. If a pilot without proficiency in flying vehicles, rank, pilot, I don't need that because we're using ship attunement. You can't fly a ship unless you're attuned. The end. Whoop, do that. Jesus, is it really that concise? Like, I think like that's like almost all the text that we like actually need. Page 110. Holy crap. $104 to $110. That's 7 pages. It's probably going to be 12 pages plus maps. Yeah, like 15, 16 pages. It's, man, this thing's just humming along. This is pretty, I think we're getting ourselves to a decent size and shape. Ship size and space. Let's go with scaling battle maps. Scaling distance and space. Tactical speed and battle maps. Time in the astral sea. Let's see, title, page, about, TOC, credits, goal of the command projects are to build scaling, scaling combat maps to conduct combat with ships using the same basic mechanics of 5e combat. The primary the central goal, the central mechanic to scaling the goal of the command projects. The goal of the command projects is to build scaling combat systems. Is to build a scaling any size based on the creatures or vehicles in Spelljammer. The three most important, three most frequent scales of map are 5 foot for each player character, to move and take actions, to move, take actions as individuals. 50 foot scale. Five-foot scale is the common size grid space for each player character to move and take actions as individuals. 50-foot scale is the grid size good size for ships engaging in a siege weapon. Spell attacks. The goal of the command project is to build a ship combat system that uses the same basic mechanics as 5e combat. That uses the same basic mechanics of 5e combat. Of 5e combat at any size, any scale. Five-foot squares. Frequent grid size, include 5 foot, 5-foot scale, open space. scale. There we go. So let's see, the scale and then the description. Scale 5 feet. Description is the 5 foot scale. It's the common grid size for each player character to move and take actions as individuals. It's a 50 foot scale. This grid size, the grid size for ships to exchange spellfire, ranged attacks, and siege weapon combat. 500 foot scale is the grid size for ships to engage or evade ranged siege weapon combat. 1 mile scale is the grid size for encountering planets and other massive objects in space. 100 million miles is the approximate distance a Spelljammer can travel each day. The grid size for So 100 million miles is the grid size for mapping crystal spheres. The grid size for mapping crystal spheres and the distance Spelljammers, can travel. mechanics provided in this book. Provide the framework to smoothly transition from 5 foot from combat five foot, 50 foot, and 500 foot between actions at the 5 foot, 50 foot, and 500 foot scale as part of a normal round of combat, and to provide easy mapping tools and to provide tools for mapping large crystal series. This is one example of how the command mechanics can create epic battles and epic same with the same, let's see, this is one example. This supplement is one example of how the command mechanics can create epic scale battles and encounters using the same basic rules of 5e adventure. This one is one example of how we hope you find the supplement inspiration and answers and simple answers. We hope you find within this supplement inspiration and simple answers to creating engaging between ships, creatures, while traveling to vast reaches. Time is it? 8:30. Okay. So there's my intro, right? We're gonna have the title page. Sorry, that'll be cover page. Cover page, the about. TOC will fill in. Let's see, so we got the scaling, distance, and space. Provided, and what's it called? What's its name? The goal of the command project is to expand on the rules provided in Spelljammer Adventures in Space to create expand on the ship rules provided in Spelljammer Adventures in Space. Using the goal of the command projects. The goal of this project The goal of this project is to expand on the ship rules provided in Spelljammer Adventures in Space using the same basic mechanics of 5e combat at any scale based on the creatures or vehicles encountered. Scale The goal of this project is to expand on the ship rules provided in Spelljammer Adventures in Space using the same basic mechanics of 5e combat at any scale based on the creatures and vehicles encountered. These creatures and vehicles encountered. The mechanics herein provide the framework to smoothly transition between action at the 5-foot, 50-foot, and 500-foot scale. Creatures. Squadrons. Creatures, ships. On the 5-foot, 50-foot, and 500-foot scale maps. The 5-foot, 50-foot, and 500-foot scale, 500-foot scale. Combat, and to provide tools for mapping travel between different planets and crystal spheres. We hope you find within this supplement inspiration and multiple and simple answers to creating engaging, evocative encounters while traveling the vast reaches of the multiverse. Table of content, credits. Skill refers to the space each grid square on a map represents. For example, in a Spelljammer adventure, the most frequent scales include 5 feet, the common grid, scale, description, blah. I gotta finish up this map stuff. Oh, right. I was supposed. Oh, that's right. I got involved up here like an hour ago because we were talking about the. Where did I go? There I am. Hey guys. We were talking an hour ago about the Star Moss, and then I got sucked into writing. As you can see, this thing's kind of coming along pretty easily. A lot of the chunk is already here. I just got to add connective tissue, some words. I might have this ready. I might have this ready for second passes, like writing passes as soon as maybe next week. So that's exciting. This could be back in my hands and being laid out and illustrated by the end of August. That'll be a great proof of concept, and it will allow us to be a little bit more casual about the rest of the books. That also allows me a lot of buffer time for me illustrating and doing layouts for the Eberron adventure that is in DM testing right now. That's going to come out of DM testing probably mid-September, going through edit passes and rewrite before then coming back to me for layouts and illustrations. It is likely that I'm thinking this might be out the door by the time that Eberron project comes back to me. And if that's the case, then I can just bounce my time between the visuals for the Eberron adventure, doing illustrations and page layout, and then the rest of the time we'll finish up our playtesting here probably by the end of August or mid-September, and then we can just focus on writing the rest of this book, finishing out Infernal Machines based on what we learned here, as well as Watercraft, and then have the actual command book, and then put in maybe have guilds as part of the same book as Armies and Kingdoms. It might be Armies, Guilds, and Kingdoms. Maybe it's going to be In Command of Armies and Kingdoms. I haven't decided what's the best way to go on that yet. I think we'll figure out when we start parsing out the data. But there's a good 50 pages worth of squad mechanics and a lot of fiddly bits that go into commanding individual creatures. This is just very, very high level, granular translation of ship mechanics into 5e combat. But once we get the actual full In Command of Armies and Kingdoms out, then you'll see how individual creatures get grouped into squads as basically minion allies to act as basically battle mounts for your character to command in battle instead of just as themselves. So it's a fun system. It's very flexible. It scales up really well. A lot of the previous sessions that I've streamed here in production go and like the Descent into Avernus stuff and the Greenest and Flamed playtest content. That's all real nuts and bolts and good examples of how flexible the system is. And once Spelljammer got announced and we saw how easy it was, it's like, well, we got to just curve into this, knock this thing out while Xaryxis is still hot and present, and just get it done. So what are we doing? We're looking at the Star Moth, and so let's look at the actual rules of the Star Moth. because that could be cool. Spelljammer. Squad ship. Xaryxis Squid Star. Starball. Hey, how about that? 400 hit points, huh? Well, we're at 400 hit points too. So let's see. Let's see. So when you when two ships when their gravity planes are aligned, no problem, and you can intentionally guide your ships to sync. They kind of just automatic, kind of like when you make eye contact with people. Ships that are under helm control just kind of sync with each other naturally. But one pilot can try to saunter up onto another one to scuttle them. Like if this ship has a stronger gravity plane than this ship, like if this ship wins, then this is going to go and get shook up. Like it goes shunk. It would go like this and go and like everyone would fall forward on the deck. But if this ship saunters up on this one and this one has a stronger gravity field, that causes this ship to do like it's like this. This is gravity. Yeah, that just caught. Well, it would just hang in space like this, but all the stuff on the outsides of the ship would sink to the middle of the ship. So if you hit a ship, if you come at a ship from at a weird angle, you can try to scuttle them. So then they would have to make a saving throw to prevent falling damage, as well as knocking all the ship's weapons and stuff into disarray. They get scuttled. So that's what scuttling is. If there's a pilot, if it's two pilots, one controlling each ship, you're basically jousting to see who can scuttle the other, or if you can keep things aligned. But if a ship isn't being piloted, and you come into playing with it, and you're roughly the same mass, but you're off axis with each other, then you would use the passive scaling DC. And if it's supposed to be opposed, here's the bonus that you would roll. So my pilot check would be against this DC 13. So excuse me while I rub my eye. Blah. There we go. Okay, so that's the scuttle DC, and then the space. The rank is Is rank even important anymore? Do we even need to bother with rank? Ship from a size, 1 feet wrong, so many dimensions. Size of most ships as per the aquatic vehicles and the playtest doc. I don't know if rank is. I don't even know if I need to mention ranks in this. I need to. Well, I need to mention ranks down in the weapon systems. So, travel time in the Astral Sea. Yeah, maybe it's where it needs to be. NAC is going to kick me for not using presets. That's okay. We'll get by. What is this? Oops. Ships, Spelljammer ships. What is this going to be? Adventuring? Piloting a Spelljammer. Ship-to-ship combat. Squadron combat. I'm gonna call it Squadrons and Massive Structures. Converting Light of Xaryxis. God, I think that's it. Like I think that's the full layout. Like that's all the mods you need. It's 112. It goes from 104 to 112. It's 9 pages. So yeah, it's probably gonna be like 14 pages, maybe like 18 with 17, 18 with illustrations. So it's probably gonna be like a $5 tear out, and yeah, it's like a little $5 dealy thing, and not a lot of loot. Like I'll maybe make it $6. You know, it's not gonna be huge money, but it's gonna be a hell of a coupon. If you pick this up, we'll bundle it with the other command, the other command projects, so that you can, as more and more stuff comes out, you can fold them all together. And god damn, that's gonna be cool. Let's just keep on keeping on. So let's see. We were working with the Starmoth. So we know Starmoth is 200 feet. Is it actually 200? Yeah, 200 feet by 20 feet, which means it's 4 squares at the 50-foot scale. 50-foot. We'll go with squares. And ship material defaults. Piloting a Spelljammer. Clean the Spelljammer helm. Pilot statistics. Chases. Gravity planes and scuttling. And then the next section is ship-to-ship combat. So you got your ship-to-ship combat, which then includes siege crews. Explain the difference between untrained and trained crews. Then siege weapons, the melee siege weapons, damage scaling, grappling claws, grappling tentacles. Grappling tentacle, yeah, grappling claws, grappling tentacles. And then you have range siege weapons, including ballistas, ice stalk cannons, mangonels, trebuchets, and then GIF giant cannon. And then, so once those mechanics are laid down, then we have squadrons and massive structures, and then which is going to include grouping ships into squadrons. Structures, let's see. Ships and structures beyond at the 500 foot and larger and greater scales. And then converting like Xaryxis. And that's where we're back at. So cool. Okay, great. Those are the sections. So we know from the mechanics that we are slowly getting back to talking about. We know that the ship, the Star Moth, 200 by 20 feet. 200 is 4 50-foot scale blocks. So 4 times, and the default is 100. So 400 hit points. That's where you get your hit point total there. So let's go down here and build a boat. 300 star moths. The ceramics. Let's talk about materials real quick. So the material your ship is made from is going to determine a few things. One, it's going to determine whether at the 500-foot scale, or any scale rather, but most conveniently at the 500-foot scale, is your ship, if it's metal or stone, it's only going to move 500 feet per action. At the, and again, this is rogue economy, so it's the object interaction to move the ship once, and then the bonus action for dash, disengage, or dodge. So dash would be another 500 feet movement. Dodge would be everyone's at disadvantage to hit you and your crew. And then disengage is I can maneuver through enemies' reach and not draw attacks of opportunity. The metal or stone structure is going to give me AC of 19. And the damage threshold is, that's what we need to play test to verify what these damage thresholds are supposed to be. Descent into Avernus has 5 and 10 for their war machines, so this should probably be 20. That feels right. 5, 10, actually should probably be 15. All right, so When you're looking at a ship, you want to know what it's made out of. So we know that a Star Moth is made out of ceramic. Its armor class is 13. Here we go. Higher damage threshold than ungranting it. Speed is the distance the ship travels with each action. The pilot. Spaces is speed translated to 500 foot square. Default for the material used to build ships. DT is the damage threshold of the vessel. Of the vessel. This DT is the damage threshold. The minimum damage a ship damage less than this number is ignored by the ship. Okay, so it's made out of ceramic. So we know that means it has armor class 13. It's got a damage threshold of 15. It can move 3 spaces with each command, which translates into 1,500 feet. There you go. Bob's your uncle. Bob is very much all our uncle. We all love Uncle Bob. Let's see. Scrolling down. Down. Ceramics, 1,500 feet, 3. AC 13. 14. Tons. Ballista. Let's see. Have not talked about crew yet. We need to talk about crew. I'm going to leave it at D6. We're going to call it a second rank crew. I'm just going to call it D6. Be +5. Yeah, we'll call him second rank. go with 5 times squadron 5 Sermons. So we have 6 of them. There's 5 each. So the squad 5, that's going to be 2,000 hit points. 2,000 HP. AC 13. DR is pointless at this scale. That's 5 attacks. I'm trying to boil these down so there's less attacks. Since I have 6 of these, I don't want them making multiple attacks. So $64 is 46. 46 is 2d12. That feels better. Okay, that's good. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Sorry, I'm quiet. 6 squadrons of star moths. So 50-foot scale, each ship has 400 hit points. At the 500-foot scale, I could fit like 20 or even up to 40 of them in there since it's a cube, right? But if we're just talking squares and keeping that simple, we could just easily put 5 of them inside of one of those 500-foot squares. Now, a 500-foot square could be, if we're talking like, we got 5 ships in there, and they're 400 hit points each. So 4 times 5, that's 2,000 hit points. So that's how that sits. I think you got 6 of them there. So that's a heavy hit. And you got these little solar dragons, right? And they're doing at the 50-foot scale. They can't even scale up to 500 feet because they can't like there's so few of them, they can't fit more. They don't fit in more than one 50-foot square. Like all 7 of them, they can fit inside that 50-foot square. So I don't. If you try to upscale them to 500 feet, it doesn't transition. They don't have enough firepower. They're just going to do the same damage. It's just going to be at the 500-foot scale instead. So they're just grossly overmatched. But they're great for going in and picking out individual ships. It's like if they can find your ship, as a strike team, to land and start eating your ship, so that you have to start wasting your commands on defending yourself instead of issuing commands to your crew, it slows your roll. So when you're in a squadron, when you're at the 5-foot scale on the deck of a ship, you can be doing your own attacks and doing your own thing. When you scale to the 50-foot grid for your ship, you can each character can command one weapon station. So each however many siege weapons you have on your ship is how many stations characters on your team can control. At the 500-foot scale, each character can control their own ship. Or even at the 50-foot scale, like you could have multiple ships, and each character could command one ship. But then if you pan out to the 500-foot scale, you can fit multiple ships in the same square, then your character can oversee all of them. So, yeah, it's pretty straightforward, and you can fit like 50, 60 ships in there. You could continue to scale up in larger sizes, but there's it just keeps scaling up. 500 feet, a mile, times 10 damage, times 100 damage at the mile, it's times 1,000 damage. The structures have 10,000 hit points per rank. So the higher rank you are, the more hit points you have, because the more you can defend the structure, or the more dense the structure is. Like a 5th rank material, like you can see, like bone, stone, and metal. It's like basic metal is 3rd rank. It's like 4th rank can be like adamantine, mithril, magically reinforced or rebar stone, and then 5th rank is like force wall, crysteel, magically enchanted, so like it's resistant to non-magical damage. Like that's like what you can do with like the 5 scales, like the 5 ranks of content that increases the durability, the armor class, and the hit points per 5-foot square or 50-foot square, or etc., etc., etc. So you can, with a large enough craft, like if if you have like if you have a mega ballista that's like I don't know 100 feet by 100 feet, that's 10 times the size of the 10 foot by 10 foot space that a ballista occupies. So instead of doing d4 times 10 damage, it would be doing d4 times 100 damage as a single ballista. Or if you had a squadron of ships that all had ballistas that were firing together, then it's either that one mega ballista or just a shitload of little ones. They all do the same damage because they're all at the same scale. It's just a matter of how are you parsing out like what weapons are dealing the damage and how many hit points do they have, and damage threshold becomes meaningless at that level. So you don't really have to worry about that anymore. Damage threshold only really matters at the 50-foot scale. Now you can be operating your weapons at the 50-foot scale while moving at the 500-foot scale. If everyone knows that I've got a ballista and you've got a Mengelin, and the pilot is going to use evasion or make melee attacks if something gets close enough to do that, then each round character move the Spelljammer pilot moves the ship within range or whatever. I'm going to fire my ballista. Maybe I have like 1, 2, 3 attacks. I'm going to crack those out. Maybe do like, I don't know, 8 points of 8 times 10, 80 points of damage. And then my my other fighter on the team, he's going to do 3 attacks, maybe with his with the mangonel. So he's going to do like 100 points of damage. So between the two of us, we did like around 180 damage, and that's against a star moth with 400 hit points. We just did 150 hit points of damage to a 400 hit point star moth. That star moth is going to fold in about probably 3, maybe 4 rounds. So one star moth is a good fight. Oh, thanks. Be done. All right. Yeah. 2 siege weapons against a star moth is a pretty good fight. Let's say we are on a caravel and we have a 2nd rank pilot because we're 5th to 9th level, 5th to 8th level. Strike ship, living ship, scorpion ship, tyrant ship. A living ship only has it's 2 squares, so it has 100 hit points. A space galleon, there's an E missing there. A space galleon is 130 feet, so it's got 300 hit points. So when that star moth shoots back at us, that single star moth, let's see how we line up here. How many weapons does a star moth have? Oh yeah, 2 ballistas. Ballistae! 2 ballistae, it says. So I can attack, and it's going to be armor class 16, so on a 13 or better it's going to hit, and it's going to average around 40 points of damage when it hits, and then the mangonel is going to deal around 30 hit points when it hits. So it's going to deal probably around 60, let's say 70 points of damage per round. So it's going to take 300 hit points divided by 7. It's going to take about 4 or 5 hits. So that Star Moth is going to take about 4 or 5 hits to knock us out, while it's going to take maybe 3 or 4 rounds for us to take out the Star Moth. So chances are we're going to win. But that's okay. It's just a light, like that first battle is just a light skirmish. So the very first encounter is Star Moth. Yeah, it's just a Star Moth versus Galleon. So pretty straightforward, easy peasy. If it's getting too easy, I can increase the rate of fire to the ballistae, to both of them. They've got enough. They've got trained crews, so I can ramp up the amount of attacks that I'm doing, the amount of attacks that I am doing per round, and I can express that by reducing the amount of movement that the Star Moth takes each round. So it would have to ready. It would have. I can make it balance its actions between movements and minimal weapons, so I can start with high maneuverability, low weapon rate, and if as the team closes in distance and they need to deal more damage, then they can slow their action economy down to just a movement and like a dodge, and then they skip their third movement, but they get an extra attack, so they can up the stakes against the team if they need to. Like they can just park it and just stop and just go dodge. That's the only thing they use, and they get an extra 2 attacks. I can choose which of the mangonels or the mangonel or the ballistae, depending on where the team is positioned and what kind of damage I want to do against them. So that's all the time I have for now. I'm liking how this is coming along. I'm just gonna keep working on this. This was, like, subscribe. I know this wasn't very exciting. This is just me making sausage. So this is us building a book. So this is the kind of stuff that goes into it. Like I said, this is probably going to be like maybe 16, 17 pages when it's done. Pretty straightforward. It's just ship combat and ship movement. So it shouldn't take much more than what's already in there between Spelljammer and Ghost of Saltmarsh. This is just basically translating that stuff into this command system, so that you've got the damage is calibrated differently, and of course the scaling works well too. So the system works perfectly as intended, and we're gonna test this Light of Xaryxis fight this weekend, see how that paces out, and I am looking forward to. I'll have tomorrow is Friday. So lunchtime, I'll be able to come back in here and do a little bit more work on this. We'll see how much I get done tonight, and then work on this. Then the Saturday, I'll have the playtest for this, and then I'll be working on Eberron stuff for the rest of Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And then we'll loop back around this time next week, and we should have we should have finished converting Light of Xaryxis. And we should be into the actual content here, finishing off piloting, and then commanding battle squads. Siege weapons, ship-to-ship combat. There you go. There you go. So yeah, maybe 18 pages, probably. We're on our way, dude. So I'm going to keep doing this. We should have this text cleaned up here in the next week or so, and then get into the illustrations of this stuff, and then you're going to see more and more stuff coming off of me for the Eberron adventure, and you'll see on Monday lunch stream we'll continue with martial powers, working on Monk, integrating the Monk into the martial powers project, and then Monday night we've got design meeting for. With Andy about doing Eberron, so I probably won't be around on Monday night, but we're going to be working on Eberron then, and then hand that out to some additional DMs. Stuart Braz is working on editing the content that we already have, and then Andy's going to work on rewrites for that, and then in a couple weeks, hopefully, we'll finish up the edits for that, and then we'll be in layout and art production for Eberron as well. So probably in October, it's about what I anticipated. In October, we're going to be doing artwork for these. This will be done, and we'll be doing artwork for the Eberron adventure, and we'll be finishing up, the text for the remaining pieces of the In Command system in October. We'll probably be done with Eberron and have that published hopefully before the end of the year, and then the In Command project becomes the primary project with a little bit more work happening on the Martial Powers project. I would anticipate this. I anticipate this being done in September, and then Eberron done in December, and then In Command done by February. And by done I mean published. So the rest of In Command published by February, and then Martial Powers becomes my primary project, and that publishes. That'll probably be done in February, and back from edits in May, then layouts and stuff, and probably published by June. I reckon maybe I'll have it done by May 20th. That's my birthday. So like and subscribe and wish me happy birthday. Check out my books. Check out this link in Patreon. Follow me on Twitter. Check out the book bundles, cover to cover coverage. Look at all the work at no cost, but I would love if you could buy some to encourage me to do more artwork. I'm excited, man. This is all folding together just very succinctly. I am really, really excited about all this, and I'm hoping that we pull off showing you how good this system works, and that you'll get excited with us, and that it'll do well, and people will see that space combat can be just as cool and just as imaginative as just your character's heroics. So I'm out of here. I will catch you guys on a day. I'm gonna do some Eberron stuff, and I will see you all on the other side. Bye.